Tyler, what do you make of this win for Duke? I know it's not a ranked Louisville team, but that's a Louisville team whose arrow has been pointing up at times. Just sort of, the to go on the road and get a win like that. What does that say about Duke today?
Well, Duke's a young team, so first of all, it's a conference opponent, and Louisville's a much different team than what we're used to talking about or kind of laughing at from the previous years under Payne. But I will say, with these young guys going into Louisville is a hungry team, and they're competing this year, and they're playing hard. So this is a big win. You can never take, granted for a conference road win. The one thing I do like about Duke is they are probably the biggest team in college, and they're a young team that's going to continue to get better and better. Maluwatch, the big guy, I love him. I know he's not the most appealing offensive player, but I think when you have guys of his size and length, he can be a rim protector, and he can control the paint, and it allows Cooper Flagg not to put so much pressure on him on being a big man inside, getting banged up. He can do his thing from pretty much anywhere. And the Knipple kid, he's one of those guys that can get it hot, spread the floor, knockdown shooter. And Tyrese Proctor, even though he struggled from the outside, especially with his shot past few years, it seems like he's an improved, more confident player. He's one of those guys that's been injured a little bit, so he's never really had his rhythm. This year it seems like he's healthy and confident and playing with a lot more confidence, especially with his outside shot. Now, I think Duke's going to continue to grow, and eventually, if they're not the number, 3 or top 3 team, at the end of the year, we're all going to be talking about them being a contender. They're one of those teams right now. In my mind, I will put them with Alabama, one of those teams that is good but will be good enough to win the whole thing later in the year.
I couldn't agree more than with what you just said. And just because I was curious, I went and checked on KenPom because I know how Tyler loves KenPom. They are the tallest team in the country on average. And it's not just that they're big. It's that they're big and they can move. Like Kaman Maluwatch, who's every bit of 7'2", massive dude, super long wingspan. I think it's like a 7'7" wingspan. It's ridiculous. They move so well, and he can even get out there and guard on the perimeter at the end of the shot clock. Defensively, they can keep themselves in ball games every single night. Every single night. They are that good. They're that lengthy. They're that switchable at the end of the clock. Kudos to Louisville. They came out on fire. This is a Louisville team that hasn't shot the ball very well this year. And it's kind of weird because every player that they have on that roster shot it well at their previous destination. And we know that Louisville added 13 new scholarship guys. They had 2 guys that aren't going to play this season, Ali Khalifa and Rogers, that came over from Charleston with them. And then they lost 3 more guys for a little bit. So Case and Pryor and the kid Corin Johnson, those guys are both out for the year. Like, it's going to take a little bit of readjustment for Louisville to get going. That being said, I still feel like Louisville's a top half of the league team in the ACC. I feel like there's enough there because we all have seen how the ACC's been in the non-conference and where the talent level is in the league. Louisville's still a top half of the league kind of team. So they're going to be able to win some games. But I'm just kind of waiting to see if Pat Kelsey's going to be able to get that first marquee home win because they've had some big ones in the MTE. I thought they played really well at Battle for Atlantis. Are they going to get that first home game is huge. But Duke defensively is incredible. What I found intriguing today, Cooper Flagg goes down with his 4th foul. Duke goes on a 13-2 run. And what I think happened, and you guys watched it too, so I'm curious your all's take on this. I think Duke started running some different offense that was a little bit more elongated. On top of the fact that they turned some more defense into offense, but they were running some different things because I feel like sometimes Cooper gets that ball on the top. It's a quick ball screen and let my man cook, where whenever he went to the bench, they were calling some sets that required 1, 2, 3 passes before they tried to attack. And you saw some of these guys catch and being able to attack closeouts, most notably Tyrese Proctor. So you look at what they were able to do when he was on the bench. I feel like that's something you're going to be able to carry over into their next game.
Yeah, Tyler, do you have any thoughts on that? Because obviously nobody's suggesting that Duke is better without Cooper Flagg. That'd be ridiculous. But they did go on a run, when he went to the bench with that fourth foul. Like, any sort of theories on your end? Is it that they're running different stuff that's less ISO heavy? Like, what do you think, is the logic behind that?
Yeah, I do agree with T.O. on this, and I'm glad he's brought that up, because if you look at the loss against Kentucky, I really felt like at the end of the game, they relied too much on Cooper Flagg to try to win him that basketball game. If you look at it, it was just a direct give him the ball and let him try to make a bucket, go ISO. And I just feel like with their talent and the guys that they have, that I feel like if they would have ran a set or a play instead of just give it to Cooper and kind of let the defense load up on him, I feel like they would have got a much better shot. And I agree with that. Sometimes they rely too much on the ISO. When they actually run a set and they get something within the flow of the game or off of movement, they're a much better team. But that is a great point. And I do think that as the season goes on, part of the learning curve for also the coaching staff with these players is they'll grow and they'll figure out what sets can be go-to plays late in the game, what they can rely on, and where to put him in scoring position to really know that, hey, we get him on that right block, or we put him in this situation off a couple screens instead of just sending him into an ISO situation. We've got a good chance of getting him a bucket right there.
To compound on what he said at the very end, one more thing. Mid-February, Duke's the best team in college basketball. Mid-February. They're still figuring out a lot of things, but there's too many tools there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had him in my preseason Final Four. I mean, for obvious reasons. And Cooper Flagg kind of, to me, exists on his own wavelength. I will say, every time I watch them play, like, there's a little skepticism that is building in me about their guard play. Like, and I think about – and I'm not talking about Cooper Flagg. I'm talking really more about, like, Caleb Foster. Like, Caleb Foster.
Well, he hit the top of the side. He hit the top of the side of the backboard today. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, and the announcers like, did that hit the top? It did hit the top.
Crispin called him out. That was awesome.
It's a super high bar, so I recognize that totally. But when you think about the Auburn backcourt, and you think about the Alabama backcourt, and you think about the other backcourts that Duke is going to have to be better than at the end of this thing, I mean, do you really buy that this group of guards can be that?
Hell yes.
I believe in it.
Okay.
I believe in it. Yes, absolutely. And the reason I say that is because they can win ugly. T.O. talked about that.
Boom. Big point.
Yeah. I mean, when you get to the tournament, you've got to rely on your defense and rebounding. And I think they do that. They have the size that can affect people's shots. I mean, their guard play can be suspect at times, but they have the length and they can do it in other ways.